Hey, you guys, Claire is out of the room for the first time. She's away from me in 2 weeks. It would be 2 weeks today that she first went into the hospital in Nashville. So this might be a little bit long, but it's the first time I've been able to really talk without her in the room. And, you know, she'll see this later, but it's hard. I don't want to upset her. And she's off enjoying a relaxation massage here at our hotel. We're very thankful to be at a Kimpton Hotel. It's our first time, and they've been amazing. Super supportive with our situation, and gave us a phenomenal room to relax and have some space, so we're not on top of each other. And we have a lot of light, so we can see out the windows and not feel like we're in hotel jail like we were in the hospital. Even though we had a window, couldn't open the blinds all the way, and it was tough. I just, first of all, want to thank every single person that reached out to Claire, reached out to me, didn't reach out, but we're praying for her in silence. It is amazing. Prayer in group form is just, that's where miracles happen. Miracles. And a miracle comes in a lot of different forms. You just have to be grounded and open enough to feel them, hear them, see them. And I have to tell you, it was a freaking miracle that this happened in Nashville. Even though we're away from home, in California, there's no way I would have been able to even be in the hospital to help her fight for her rights, to help watch over her care. You know, I could be witty and kind of light in my updates, but the reality is it was fucking insane. And yes, I'm a cesarean, and we use the F word. It was the most passionate work I've ever done in my life, fighting for Claire. And I would do it for anybody I had the opportunity for that needed help, and I just happened to be that person. I don't know where Claire would be right now if I wasn't allowed to be in the hospital. The first hospital we went to was tragic. It was in the middle of one of the poorest parts of Nashville, which is a whole nother sad reality. They treated her like a drug addict there. They kept cross-examining her to see if she was a heroin addict, whatever. I don't know what the fuck they thought. I had to pull the doctor out and tell him what a good kid she was. She was a college graduate. Don't judge her by her tattoos, her gauges, and the fact that she was trying to make herself throw up, because that's all she could think to do to get out whatever was in her. And luckily we had a doctor there, Dr. T. He was a freaking cowboy doctor. He was 4 months in residency. He wore cowboy boots under his, I don't know what you call them, scrubs. And he had hair almost as long as Claire's. He wore it in a man bun. He had a beard, and he was her angel at that hospital. He looked out for her when I couldn't be there. They would only let me be there from 1 to 5. So he would come in early and go sit with her. He would stay late and sit with her. He knew that she was in danger. He didn't actually tell us that until about day 3, when he was alone with us, and he took off his mask and he said, "How the heck did you guys end up here?" But he told me he would help me get her out of there because I asked for a transfer, and the attending doctor might as well have laughed at me because he just said, "You don't need a transfer. The other hospital is just going to do what we did." And I just told Claire, I said, "Don't worry, I'll carry you out of here if I have to." But the cowboy said, "Don't worry, I'll authorize a transfer if she doesn't get better." Well, she got better long enough for us to get her out of there. And so she had a good 24-hour period of being good. So I negotiated with the doctors all the way up the food chain. I had to go to the highest level to negotiate. I had to negotiate for them to release her on good standing. They wanted to release her against medical advice, which means that the insurance possibly wouldn't cover all the stay at the hospital. I didn't care. I was going to take her out of there regardless, but God intervened and she felt better long enough for us to get her out of there. So that's the first hospital, the first, 3 or 4 days. Then we ended up going to another hospital because our good friends, Jim and Kristen Fulton, live in Nashville. They were actually in California at the time, but they gave us some recommendations for other hospitals to go to. So that's how we ended up at Ascension St. Thomas. I picked Ascension St. Thomas out of the two hospitals because of the faith association. And boy, was that a good call. It was still tough. There were some tough days there, but not as many. The doctors did a lot more work. And it took a few days for the doctors and I to form a team and become peers and collaborate. That was hard to make happen, but I swear I just was using everything I've been taught in my career about leadership, about collaboration, about thinking differently, and how to form a team, how to pull people together so people aren't intimidated by each other, they're not condescending. We actually want the same result, so why don't we work together? And that's what ended up happening. And then there was a change of power where I became the head doctor and they started working for me. And it was very respectful, but I had to make sure that all the doctors were collaborating. I basically told Claire, I'm your project manager. And this is the most passionate job I've ever had in my life. And let's pull people together. The doctors they don't necessarily collaborate. They don't talk to each other. They think they do, but they don't. And so you have the right to make sure they do. You have the right to make sure, you understand the dynamics of the doctors. How long have they been there? Are they new at the hospital? What's their hierarchy? How does each doctor fit into that? Because if I'm dealing with someone brand new who's more worried about their political collateral within the hospital, they may not speak up. So I have to be that person in the middle to make sure everybody's on the same page and do it in a way so that they're not shutting me out. Because they could have easily told me that I couldn't be there. So I had to keep that in the back of my mind. And the GI doctor, she did discover some ulcers in Claire's stomach, but the GI doctor, she's probably about 35. She'd only been at this hospital not very long. I could tell that she wasn't confident enough to make sure the other doctor understood her medical opinion. And so I made sure she did. The GI doctor said in her medical opinion, she did not believe that the ulcers were causing Claire's symptoms. And I said, then why are they just treating her for that? Why won't they do any more testing? Why won't they do a brain scan? We have brain aneurysms in the family. Why won't they look at the rest of her organs? Why won't they test for this? Why won't they test for that? I said it much nicer, but that's what I was feeling. And so the turning point in care was me getting the GI doctor and the attending doctor on the same page. And I don't know if this helped, but I was so desperate one night because Claire was in 15 hours of vomiting, pain, and Claire's no freaking wimp. Her pain level was a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. They would not give her, the on-call doctor would not give her any more medicine. So it was just brutal. She was also having heart issues. Her heart rate was really low. Her blood pressure was really high. And she was afraid. Claire was just afraid that she was going to go into cardiac arrest. She didn't know. She's 24. She just knows something was wrong. So I reached out on LinkedIn to every executive I could find associated with that hospital. I pinged 8 people, and 2 people got back to me. But I tell you, the next morning, everybody was standing at attention. I didn't even say a word about pinging anybody. I just figured they're doing what I need them to do now, so something worked. But they were all at attention. The doctor brought in a few friends, I guess, to listen in, which was fine. I am not intimidated. Shit, I've been beaten. My ass has been beaten by almost every executive at Apple. I'm not intimidated. I may cry, but I'm not intimidated by authority. I believe that we need to work together and get to the bottom of it, and whatever I have to do to escalate, that's what I'm going to do. And so the doctor finally started testing everything under the sun. We tested everything in her brain, her ears, her nose, her throat, her heart, all the way down, all the organs, all the way down to her pelvic floor. The only thing we couldn't do was do a colonoscopy because she could not prep for it. She could barely eat 3 eggs. There's no way she was going to prep for a colonoscopy. And then they could not test for poisoning. I'm frickin' befuddled by that. I don't understand why the Western medical community can't collaborate with naturopathic doctors to test and help save people. It's so pathetic. I've seen the tests that my naturopathic doctor does. I partner on both sides, MD, naturopathic. Why do you got to just work on one side? That's like, watching CNN News or watching Fox News only. You got to look at both perspectives. You got to have opinions coming in. You got to put your ego to the fucking side and look for solutions. And not even solutions. We didn't even know what the problem was yet. We still don't. Well, I have an idea, but that's another thing. She is, so sorry, I know I'm rambling, but my point is, and a lot of people have been through this and worse with their kids or their spouses or a loved one, but man, you've got to, someone has to be in the patient's corner. It would have been really hard to manage this remotely. I feel so sorry for the people that have been stuck watching loved ones go through COVID or other health issues in this pandemic and not be able to be there with them. Claire and I don't know if I wasn't there. She was not able to even talk at some points. So how is she able to help? How is she able to get help? At one point at the first hospital, I thought she was going to have a heart attack. I literally went out into the hallway and yelled at the top of my lungs that I needed fucking help at the top of my lungs, and I got help. Wasn't the best help, but I got help. And that was the same thing at the second hospital. My reaching out was getting on LinkedIn because I had no other way to escalate within the hospital. I asked the doctor the next day. When your on-call doctor doesn't respond, what do I do? Where do I go? Who do I escalate to? She had no answer. That's just not acceptable. But social media, this is when it's good, right? This is when it's good, when we can collaborate and pray, and we can also find people and get help. Because if this is a Christian-based hospital, there's got to be some executives with a heart. And I got 2 out of 8. The other good thing on LinkedIn was I noticed that the chief operating officer of this hotel was friends with one of my friends at Apple. And so I contacted my friend at Apple to try to reach out to this COO. And so just, if you ever get in this situation, man, just think outside the box. Don't be contained. Don't take no for an answer. Follow your instinct, and listen to your body. Listen to the patient, and eat good. Don't drink. Eat good. Sleep. My whole focus was, I know what makes me feel like shit, and it's sugar. And I can't think if I have red vines. And so it was hard, right? Because at the hospital, you're surrounded by it. Everything is either salt or sugar. So I had to really stay focused on eating good and getting as much sleep as I could so that I could stay sharp. And then I also got up every morning before Claire and meditated, prayed, listened to worship, read all your guys' ideas and suggestions, and wrote them all down. You can imagine, a lot of people that have worked with me know I'm a checklist queen, and I still have a checklist going. You got to sift through all the stuff. You can't chase every lead. You got to go with your gut. And, it's an amazing system. It's kind of sad that the United States has a medical system like we do. So what's my solution? Try to stay healthy, man. Why do you think I do what I do? Why do you think I try to help people be healthy? And Claire and I have had lots of conversations about what's next, steps after this. I'm not overwhelming her. I'm letting her feel good, and as she feels good, we talk more. Not that she's not a healthy person, but there's always room for opportunity, and there's definitely room to stop and think about this situation and what do you learn from it? What do you take forward? So I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for being there. We could feel it. There are so many messages, signs, unbelievable. I know people don't always believe in that, but I do. Shit, I was raised by a Sufi. And my mom planted herself right outside our window. And I'll tell you guys the story in person someday. It was amazing. Didn't happen right away, but I also missed some signs that she was already there. So if you don't have faith, I hope you dig deep and find it, because my faith grew stronger during COVID. Now I understand why. Because I needed it. And you don't always know when you go through stuff why. And some people say there's not always a why. I would say to those people, you're not looking. I know why. I grew stronger in faith. And my prayers were real. And so were yours. And it works. It doesn't mean that there's some, God that comes down and just poof, you're better. It doesn't work that way. It sends you messages, ideas, thoughts, tips. You just have to look. You have to be grounded in your mind, and you have to be not freaked out and spinning out of control when you're trying to save someone's life. You got to be focused, and then those things just start to pop in. Poo, poo, poo. It's just amazing. I don't think there's a tougher fight than to fight for your kid's life, or your own life, or your husband's life. It doesn't mean that I don't love everybody that I know, it's just that this fight's different. I hope you never have to experience that. I now understand my mom's fight for my brother's life in high school. Same exact set of circumstances. Only difference, Frank, it was 40 fucking years ago, and for 30 days, they didn't give Frank any pain medication. I can't even imagine that. So anyways, stay healthy. Stay out of the hospitals as much as you can. Don't go there on the weekend if you can avoid it. Not much gets done on the weekend unless it's frickin' urgent. And if you do end up there, the right person will show up to fight your fight with you. I love you guys, and continue to send us prayers as Claire gets she's ready. We're going home tomorrow, I tell you that. But she's going to continue to be doing some investigation to follow up and get back on track. She's a little beanpole right now. I call Hannah Bean and Claire Peanut, but right now Claire's a little beanpole. So she's cool though. She knows what to do. And I know you guys will support her. So I love you. I don't even know what day it is. I think it's Wednesday. Have a blessed Wednesday. You guys mean the world to me. Peace out. Praise the Lord.